Disclaimer: this video is for educational and historical purposes only. I was going through a box of dog stuff, and I came across some photos and pedigree of a dog called Agro, the dog featured on the present cover of the SDJ. After I took a thoughtful look at his pedigree, besides bringing back memories, I noticed that he was bred down from a combination of some of the top bloodlines of the Balkan area, tried and true dogs. So I decided that it would be a good idea to take a closer look at the subject and write a few words about his ancestry. I've always been interested in these kind of analyses. Hopefully, some of you will find it interesting and learn from it as well. Agro, this solid-built bulldog with a head like a buck, was born in 2007, on the yard of my good friend T.A., out of Zanetti's Dachshund bred to a game little bitch called Miss Jumbo Jr., a dog which I happened to own at one time. But let's slow down a bit and start with his top side. Zanetti's Dachshund was out of Zanetti's Golem and Zanetti's Parma. Dachshund's sire, Golem, a solid 50 pounds dog out of Davos, UK, and Zanetti's Annie Four Guns, ended up losing his only match game, at the early age of 19 months old against Rabi and Peglica Ch Rambo. He was retired after the show but produced a pretty good percentage of game dogs. Davos UK was part of a litter sired by Davos Vili, and out of his own dam, Davos RIA, that also included Zanetti Ch Yuma, and San Antonio's Len. DUK was never matched but tested thoroughly, and rolled a few times. He lived most of his life on the yard of his breeder where he was bred only 2 times, then was sold to OK Coral in Italy, but since he didn't really had anything to breed to, old DUK stayed at Zanetti's yard for most of the time, where he produced 5 litters that included Sud Ch Chinese, BS Kennel Ch My Dildo, Zanetti, and Cuppers Rios, Macho, Golem, Katana, etc. To make a long story short, DUK turned out to be a great producer of game dogs. He died at the yard of Tatanka Kennels at 13 years. Yuma was a brutal 39 pounds bitch that won 3 in short order for Zanetti before a 2 o'clock draw in Italy, going uphill against Di Gregorio's Black Velvet. Yuma never produced any pups. Unfortunately, she was sterile. Len's only match was into Zazevica Kennels GRCH Pia, where, after losing half of his head, Len was finally picked up game at 112 and voted Gameston Show. Davos RIA was bred by Lubomir Obradovic out off of Lubomir's Thor and Lubomir's Cindy. She was heavy inbred, bred on the Dead Game Country Boys Vench dog. RIA was never matched or rolled because she was crippled due to heavy inbreeding. She was more like Davos' house pet, but also his main brood bitch at that time. Golem's dam, Annie Four Guns, was out of Davos Vili and Zanetti Ch Ozra Ram. She was a thoroughly tested bulldog that never made a bad move, armed with a hell of a mouth. One of the best producing daughter of Ch Ozra Ram without a doubt. I don't think I could write anything new about Davos Vili or Zanetti Ch Ozra Ram. They're in the history books already. Anyway, just a few words about Vili, and we will come back on Ozra later in this article. Vili was a 2-time winner in short order and, most of all, a great producer. The Vili bloodline was established by Mr. Davor in Croatia, and it was based on Davos RIA and Ganja's Black Magic. These so-called Vili dogs are basically bred down from an Eli Snooty bloodline, and they're known to be some real solid-built destroyers with an unbelievable amount of strength coupled with gameness. The complete package, I guess. Let's continue with Zanetti's Parma, the dam of Dachshund. In 2001, Zanetti and Cuppers Rios was bred to the 10-year-old Zanetti Ch Ozra Ram. Sadly, this was Azra's last litter, and the breeding had resulted in only 1 pup, a black female which was named Parma. Later on she became the main brood bitch on Zanetti's yard. Parma's sire, Zanetti and Cuppers Rios, was born in 1998 on the yard of GB Kennels out of Davos UK, discussed earlier in this article, and GB Kennels, Chiquita, a double granddaughter of Frisco Ram. This litter also included Ch Chinese, a red 3-time winner, Macho, who won in 2016 against a dog 5 pounds heavier bought from Garner, and V. Romeo, and of course GB Kennels Chelsea, a killing machine. Rios won 2 before losing dead game in 130. Okay, we're back to Ozra again. I think it's enough to say that Ozra was a 4-time winner, and one of the best producing bitches in the Balkan area. Still one of the leading ROM females? Okay, now let's look at the bottom side of Agro's pedigree. Agro's dam was a bitch called Miss Jumbo Jr., out of Jira's Miss Jumbo, and Jira's Black Bandit, a brother to sister breeding done by O.C.'s, a friend of mine. Miss Jumbo Jr. was bred down from a classic combination consisting of some real old-school blood, Redonjic's Jumbo Rom, Auckler Ch Tom, and Krekeljic Ch Tom. She was never matched but rolled many times, perhaps too many times, and showed to be a real game one. By the way, she was the shyest dog I ever owned. Miss Jumbo and his brother Black Bandit were part of a litter by Redonjic's Jumbo Rom and Krekeljic's Trinita, a game-tested bitch sired by Auckler Ch Tom and out of Nikik's Ta.JGA, a tested bitch herself. Ta.JGA was sired by Krekeljic Ch Tom and out of Zlatkovic Sarah, a bitch out of the classic Lubomir's Thor to Lubomir's Spanky breeding. Miss Jumbo was a game little 35 pounds bitch with typical Jumbo characteristics. She was tested hard and rolled frequently against much bigger dogs, never showing a bad move owned. Black Bandit was tested thoroughly as well, and won his only match against a two-time winner in 105. Relax, I'm not going to babble too much about Redonjic's Jumbo Rom, Auckler Ch Tom, and Krekeljic Ch Tom, because it's already ancient history. All you have to know is that Redonjic's Jumbo Rom, along with two of his littermates, Gypsy and Rambo, were out of TJ's Bosco and Sheba, and they were sent as a gift to Dragan Redonjic by his good friend, Bado Kadovic, who lived in the New York area at that time. Rambo was stolen. Gypsy won 2 before losing dead game against Sapovic's Tom Jr., and Jumbo lost 1 game against Garlanus Rambo, Coon's Iron Kid in 50. I won't even go into listing all the greats these dogs produced, as it would take up pages and pages of space. They have made the most significant contribution and impact on the breed in the Balkan area. Krekeljic's Andy Bad Company's Ch Tom was out of Brousseau's Ch Buster and Snakeman's Hurricane, and was imported to the Balkans by Mladen Krekeljic as a 2-time winner who lost 1 against Captain America's Ch Gunner. Later on, he won over Lubomir's Thor in 33, and became the first official champion in the former Yugoslavia. Auckler Ch Tom, out of an unplanned breeding by Jean Louis Boss's Piston and Pepsi, was also imported by Krekeljic. At that time this big black bulldog was a 3XW and 1XL against Bossy's Piston, his own sire, but won 2 more for Krekeljic. One over Hefner's Red Ringo Fox in 33, and another against the super game Krekeljic Ch Tom in 152, owned at the time by Sapovic. Of course, this story isn't complete, or intended to be. I'm also sure I've made a few mistakes, so please feel free to correct me. So what is the moral of this article? Don't worry about titles, just call hard and breed. The best to best? Of course every great dog will produce some that are not superstars, but you'll have to give them all a chance. It is after all up to us humans to raise them to be the dogs we want them to be. Not much more to say. Ooh, what about Agro? He was a good one.